Hello, my name is Rachel Morgan, and this is my presentation on understanding cultural competence in healthcare. The four main topics that we will be covering today are the role of culture in healthcare, changing demographics and health disparity, understanding cultural competence, as well as cultural competence continuum. Illness and health are directly linked to cultural issues, and since the healthcare system in Canada has a westernized biomedical model of health beliefs and healthcare delivery, this means that in some cases, health insurance may not cover some services that other cultures rely on for their physical, mental, or spiritual well-being. In order to gain a well-rounded understanding of how culture plays a role in healthcare, one must look into different cultures around the world. I have learned in my career in the dental industry that people of different cultures can communicate in different ways. Some patients were hesitant to give personal information or had someone speak for them. Some women of certain cultures could only see female dentists. It is important to make an effort to understand where a patient or client is coming from in order to provide them with the best care. In Asian Indian culture, treatment and medicine go hand in hand with religion. One of the health practices in Western India, Ayurveda, says disease is caused by an imbalance of the bodily humors and cured by a restoration of the balance through meditation, diet, and natural medicine. In Africa, most people believe that illness comes about as a consequence of spirit world intervention or family or community conflict, and therefore the whole community is involved in treating illness. So this raises the question, if you're not familiar with a patient's cultural background and their beliefs, how can you treat them or explain their condition and propose treatment? And if they do not accept the treatment proposed, how will you handle this? Professional ethics dictate that you must treat every patient with dignity and respect with no discrimination. I think this involves an understanding of and an open-minded approach to different cultures and beliefs. Changing demographics can be influenced by an aging population, increase in immigration, and population growth. A total of 313,580 people immigrated to Canada in 2019 alone. These changes can influence the healthcare system greatly. An aging population can have a huge impact on the healthcare system. According to the 2011 census, 9.6 million people, or close to 3 Canadians out of 10, were baby boomers. As the baby boomers age, there will be a greater demand for healthcare workers to treat them, as an aging population requires greater need for medical services. The issue at hand in this situation in relation to disparity is lack of access to healthcare for the aging population. When I was working in Chilliwack Hospital in the acute care ward, the main issue I encountered was a total lack of housing for assisted living or full-time care. Elderly people were forced to stay in the hospital for months while they waited for a place to live that would meet their needs. This issue will only continue to get worse as the aging population grows. I found this explanation of cultural competence to be very helpful. Cultural competence is about our will and actions to build understanding between people, to be respectful and open to different cultural perspectives, strengthen cultural security, and work toward equality in opportunity. Perhaps the most eye-opening explanation of culture that I read is that culture is not synonymous with ethnicity. It is more along the lines of shared pattern of learned behavior and values that are transmitted over time and that distinguish the members of any one group from another. In healthcare, we should all strive to be open-minded and take the time to learn about different cultural groups. This way, we can provide a better standard of care. Every patient should feel like they are welcome and like they have control over their own health care in accordance with their beliefs and values. The cultural competence continuum is like a staircase of progressing ideals ranging from cultural destructiveness to cultural proficiency. It outlines how a society can go from one end of the spectrum to the other. Cultural destructiveness outlines attitudes, practices, and organizational policies that focus on the superiority of one culture to the extent that other cultures are dehumanized and destroyed. For example, from 1941 to 1949, Japanese Canadians were placed in internment camps and lost their homes and jobs because of Canada's declaration of war with Japan. Many Japanese Canadians were even deported or moved away from their homes in BC and were not permitted to return. The next step is cultural incapacity. In healthcare, this is when healthcare providers refuse to help people of different cultures altogether. Cultural blindness is when differing cultures are completely ignored as an attempt to look at everyone with an unbiased opinion. With cultural blindness, we cannot learn from the past experiences and therefore cannot grow as individuals or make improvements to the healthcare system to accommodate everyone. Cultural pre-competence refers to the recognition of needs based on culture and some movement toward meeting those needs. In this step, there is some effort to try to meet the needs of different cultural groups, but still has not gone far enough, as there may be a false sense of accomplishment which stalls progression to true cultural competence, according to Srivastava. Cultural competence shows the realization that there are many different cultures, and true understanding and growth require a need for continued education and open-mindedness. Steps are taken to show this understanding and meet the needs of differing cultures. Finally, the last step in the cultural competence continuum is cultural proficiency, which describes the implementation of the changes that improve services based on cultural needs. It is difficult to get to this point as it requires cooperation from all healthcare members, but it is an important goal to strive for. In conclusion, culture plays a huge role in healthcare, especially in Canada, as we have a very diverse mix of cultures. This, as well as changing demographics, can make it difficult for people to receive the healthcare they need, leading to health disparity. It is important that as individuals and as team members, future healthcare workers do their best to combat the health disparities with knowledge and understanding.